Yes, if you're an Arizona sports fan with a fetish for pain, I've got the place for you. Arizona's hottest club is the ER. The future former training facility of the Arizona Cardinals in Tempe has a familiar yet troubling feel, like when we all watched the Tennessee Titans game. This place has everything. James Conner's serious knee injury, offensive line amnesia, the worst quarterback controversy in the history of the NFL, and random appendicitis.
Get that stuff out of here! It's Southwest Bias!
Welcome into Southwest Bias, brought to you by our friends at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. And we are live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Make sure to become a member of the Inner Circle today by downloading the Circle K app. I don't know if you've watched the news or if you pay attention to things outside of sports, but there's this whole proposal about a 50-year home mortgage that we're going to be able to get soon. Something that will take essentially a $400,000 home and make the cost of it $1.2 million over 52 years, essentially just stretching debt over a long period of time. Does that sound familiar to anybody else? Because to me, that kind of sounds like what it's like to be an Arizona sports fan, and in particular, a freaking Arizona Cardinals fan. It feels like just years of debt that we're going to have to pay, interest on the hope of something good. Yeah, we have this team. Yeah, we have these games we get to watch, but do we really have what we want? Are we going to just be paying for it for the rest of our lives? Today, just another example of it when head coach Jonathan Gannon said this.
A couple updates here real quick. Barron came in Monday after the game. He's in concussion protocol. We already talked about Zay Jones going to IR. Simi Fajoko's going to go to IR. Marvin, 2 nights ago, had surgery, appendicitis, so he's going to be out. And Mac Wilson with the ribs will be out. Everybody else, you guys will see that report today. Varying levels of each guy, what they're working through.
What in the actual fudge is this that's going on in Phoenix and in Arizona? The Cardinals are unbelievably mind-boggling at this point. A freak appendicitis surgery now on top of all the injuries. I mean, have you looked at the Arizona Cardinals wide receiver room right now? It's really empty. You can get a great seat in there. Right now, it's Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and Xavier Weaver. Can you, I mean, and there's a poo-poo platter of additional guys on the practice squad. Nobody that's going to come in here and make a massive difference. What in the world have we done to deserve this? We are paying for I mean, we're well past the 30-year point. I mean, 1988 is almost 40 years ago. Do we have a 50-year mortgage on having to deal with questionable football and bad things going on before we can actually have something that is our own, have something that actually is going to make us proud? We are, again, dealing with just insanity. Sunday is going to be brutal to watch because who is Jacoby Brissett going to throw the ball to? Not to mention, who the hell's going to block for him? I don't know. Yesterday, Drew Petzing had this to say about his offensive line.
I wouldn't say it. I think they're playing hard. I think we've played some really good fronts. I think the communication has been good. I think at times, you're losing one-on-ones in critical situations, which is hurting us. And certainly we need to evaluate how and why that's happening and try to clean that up. But I think those guys play extremely hard. I think they play well together. I think they're doing everything they can to win games.
Am I taking crazy pills? The offensive line has played well? Is he watching film from last year? I know they work hard. Everybody works hard. Doesn't mean it's working, though. That offensive line has not blocked well all year. That offensive line has not helped this team win at all. I'm getting to a point where I don't know what to make of any of this. I don't know what to make of what they can do to fix it. Like, yes, you could move on from Drew Petzing, which they likely will. Yes, you can hire a new offensive line coach. Maybe you take a look at your approach to the medical and physical training with your team to try to prevent some injuries. But what in the hell? This is one of the sharpest turns I've ever seen for an Arizona Cardinals season, from the hope at the beginning to whatever the hell we're going through right now. And quite frankly, I'm very tired of coach speak. We are hearing platitudes and, yeah, we're okay, and yeah, we're going to look at tape. When really the house is on fire and you're sitting there just saying, hey, the drapes look good. I get it. Coaches are going to have to say those kind of things because if they come out in the media and they blast everybody, that creates all sorts of problems. I don't know that it could be any worse, but it creates some sort of different problem for sure. I think you can watch Jonathan Gannon get worn down by all this too. He is not the same guy from 2 years ago, even a year ago. The weight of this is starting to impact him as well. He's wearing it like I think we're wearing it too. Because there's this debt, this giant debt of injuries, of history, of all this on our shoulders as Cardinals fans, as Cardinals coaches, as Cardinals players, that you feel like you just can't get under, right? That you feel like you can't get under. Out from under. I don't know what to do. AZ Voice 89 says, I'm tired of this, Grandpa, with the Johnny Chug emoji. I'm tired of it too. I think we're all tired of it. I wish we could have a lump sum payment to just get out of this.
Do you know that reference?
I do not.
It's from Holes.
Oh, well.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
I am too old to know Holes. Was that the Shia LaBeouf movie?
2003.
Yeah, I was in college. You think I was going to see Holes?
Yeah, it wasn't.
No,
it's not. It's.
I was going to the Tucson bars and striking out.
Well, I would have gone to the Tucson bars and then gone home and watched Holes.
Well, I feel like we're in a hole that we're never getting out of. Does anybody have a lump sum payment we can pay the football gods to finish whatever this mortgage is that we've bought and are paying for over and over and over again? Because I'm done with having to sit through this and having to deal with this week in, week out. I did not have on the bingo card that this morning we were going to find out that Marvin Harrison Jr. had surgery for appendicitis recently. Like,
I also love in the quote he goes a couple days ago, Marv had surgery, and then he stopped for like a brief second. I bet the whole room was like,
because he couldn't remember what day it happened.
Yeah.
Which is a sign of somebody that's going through a great deal of stress when you can't remember what day it is. Trust me, I'm aware. Yeah, we're paying this debt, and we're at year like 39 of what feels like a 50-year mortgage. And I don't know what's going to get us out of it, but maybe, just maybe, that's why Southwest bias. Shane, the mustache behind the Mac, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. How's your appendix?
So I actually thought I had appendicitis when I was like 16. What was it?
Just turned out to be gas?
No, it was it was some type of bug. Yeah. But I was only out for 2 days, and then I was able to rejoin the bench on my JV basketball team.
Did you ever hear a former head of production, Jacob Franklin, story?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but tell the people.
His appendix burst. He didn't know. He thought he was just sick. It walled itself off, and they didn't find it for 2 months.
What?
His body walled it off. That's insanity.
Yeah,
that was crazier than what we heard from Marv. By the way, welcome to the bias in the chat. We appreciate you. Hayden, Deborah, a roaring fork. Hello, William. Everybody that's in there, we really appreciate you. And hello had the ultimate comment here that said, the only hole Espo has seen is the hole of despair of being an Arizona sports fan. We get out of it every once in a while. There's pockets of joy, like I'm enjoying the Suns win streak. I mean, I get pulled back in from time to time and into that hole. And that news this morning was just another reminder of that. But there's things we can enjoy. Deborah says there's not enough money in the world to get us out from whatever insane mortgage we signed with the sports gods. So, yeah. This is just crazy to me what we deal with and the amount that we deal with and how it continues to go on. I'm sure there'll be something else crazy. But hey, at least we're not the Dallas Mavericks who the Suns face tonight. Have you seen that dumpster fire of an organization? They just fired Nico Harrison, the guy that traded Luka for AD that had this supposedly brilliant plan, and they fired him like 8 months, or not even 8 months later. I mean, like 6 months later. Oops. Suns face them tonight. They're 2-7, I think. So maybe it plays in the Suns' favor, but holy hell. I mean, they've got championships, we don't, but at least, sometimes misery loves company, and that's certainly miserable as well. So, AZ crap, big AZ craps guru says, let's not even mention the crickets for the Diamondbacks offseason. Let the dice be ready, or dice be nice today. I hope so. I hope they're nice to you, AZ Craps Guru. And Andrew talking about the draft already. Woo! I really don't want to get into the NFL draft, but when we do, we'll get Fran, who's our NFL draft expert at ALLCITY, on the program. I hope we're talking about something a little bit more fun tomorrow when it comes to Arizona sports. A very serious subject we're going to talk about on the other side of the break. A great event going on Saturday out at Salt River Fields that I think you should take a second to register for and go out there. You'll learn about that right after the break. The husband and wife law team, if you've suffered a serious accident or injury, not because of your sports team, but serious injury, you're going to want to have the husband and wife law team on your side, because you know what? It's not just, hey, I'm going to open Google or Yelp and just decide whatever the first one with 4 stars, that's who I'm going with. Because choosing a lawyer in these situations is imperative. You have to make the right choice. I've made the wrong choice before, and you wind up regretting it. Because after a serious injury, you want to hire an attorney that's focused on your best outcome, not their bottom line. I hired a guy that was focused on his bottom line. It did not do me any favors. But the husband and wife law team is focused on your best outcome. They bring hundreds of years of combined trial experience, which is important, and multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. You want an expert. You don't want somebody that's fly by night that got their law degree at some two-bit place. No, you want lawyers that know what they're doing. And the husband and wife law team have certified specialists by the State Bar of Arizona, so you know that they're the real deal. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. Mountain America Credit Union. If you're focused on your bottom line, which you should be, it's important. You want to have a banking institution that's going to take care of you. And Mountain America Credit Union does just that, because everyone needs a checking account. But with the MyStyle checking account, you're going to have something that works for you on multiple levels. Not only do you have a institution that you can put your money that you can trust in, but you're going to get perks that are just for you. Restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts. We're just talking about a massive loan that Arizona sports fans have taken out. But if you're trying to buy a home, if you're trying to start a small business, if you're just trying to get your kids through college because you need a little extra cash to do that, they've got loan rate discounts for you. So make MyStyle your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/MyStyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration and activation. Terms and conditions apply. And I told you before the break that we had a very special interview. We're talking with Kelly, the co-chair of the Out of the Darkness Walk. I spoke with her yesterday about this great cause. Please listen and please participate. Really excited to have Kelly, the co-chair of the Out of the Darkness Walk that's coming up this Saturday. The 15th. Yeah,
already.
It's crazy that we're already at the midway mark.
I can't even. I can't even, Espo. It's ridiculous.
Well, Kelly, I'm really glad to have you here because the walk supports the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I know that is a cause that is very personal to you. I know it's very personal to a lot of us. And kind of explain what the walk is about and what the organization does.
Sure. So I'd love to. So the Out of the Darkness Walk is our premier fundraising event for the year and happens, nationally across all of our chapters, and the community comes together. And the fundraising is so important because it funds, not only the advocacy programs that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention supports, but also our education programs. We know, those of us who have been involved with the youth, that, especially here in Arizona, I was blown away when I moved out here 9 years ago to hear of how many kids were struggling and how many kids we were losing to suicide. And so there are so many educational programs that AFSP does, and Talk Saves Lives. We also, provide support for families, who have lost, who have lost loved ones, to suicide. So even next Saturday, after the weekend, after the walk, is our National Survivor Day. And so we do a program where, those who have lost folks to suicide can get together, have, a day where they can connect with other, survivors of suicide loss and be able to find connection, find community. And those of us who are sports fans or connected to sports know how important the community is. So the walk is, our primary, focus is the fundraising, but it is also that community. And, we have so many different things that happen as part of the walk so that we are giving folks an outlet to be able to share about their loved ones, honor their loved ones' memories, and then also, get connected with the resources if they need help as well.
Are there specific resources that you provide that you can share? Because I'm sure that there's somebody out there watching that potentially is struggling with this, with suicidal tendencies or whatever the case may be. I've gone through it personally. I've watched people in my family go through it. What kind of help do you guys provide for those individuals?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that AFSP does at a national level. Some of the things are the research, and the awareness campaigns, so that folks know where to turn to get help. One of the things that I've always been impressed with AFSP is that when you go to their website, it'll automatically provide you with a pop-up that says, if you are struggling, here's where you can go to get help. The 988 hotline, other, mental health resources, getting connected with folks within your community. So whether you're going to the site because you are struggling and you maybe are having some suicidal ideation and you need help right away, they're going to get you to that help right away. Or if you're someone who, like me, I experienced the loss of my brother, going to the website and trying to get connected with someone who can be able to provide, support and, guidance, through that process. And we have, folks and volunteers who are trained, to be able to talk with suicide loss survivors and to be able to get them to resources, look in the community to say, where do you have support groups? Where do you have other, aspects of being able to get help and assistance? And then the education pieces of it are so critically important. How can we get out into the community and share more about suicide so that we can prevent another person from taking their life? And how do we talk about suicide? Because I think that's a really important aspect of it as well. There are certainly, ways in which we talk about suicide that are helpful. And then there are ways in which it's not helpful because then, as you see oftentimes in our society today, there's still a lot of stigma around getting help when you're struggling, with your mental health. And, we're losing people because we're not able to get them to the help that they need and that they're reluctant to ask for it. So that's just a kind of snippet of, some of the programs that AFSP does, in addition to the other events, where we're building the community, like I said, Survivor Day and the walk itself.
You bring up your brother and that's what you went through. Is that how you originally got connected with the group? And did you use those resources that you were talking about?
Yeah. So my baby brother, who is 12 years younger than I was, he took his life in August of 2016, shortly before I moved to Phoenix. We were living in New York at the time. And, he struggled for many, many years. And, you get to a point, obviously I'm grieving the loss of my brother. That's going to be a lifelong thing. But there's also, I knew he was struggling. And, when you are trying to pour as much as you can into that person who's struggling to try to help them, there's this kind of loss of, what do I do now? Like, I have this energy. I want to honor his life. I want, to help other people. And so when we moved out to Arizona, we didn't know anyone, right? And so one of the first things that I did was, find the Out of the Darkness walk. When my brother had passed away, it was important to us, that we mentioned in his obituary that we were looking for donations to AFSP in his memory. And I think, at that point, family and friends, we were able to raise almost $2,000, and we were so proud of that. But I wanted to do more because I knew that there was more to do. So we got involved in the walk. And the walk was our entry into that. And I have done Survivor Day. Survivor Day is one of my most favorite events of the year because it's hard. And it's hard to sit with people who are at different stages of their loss because it takes you right back. But you know what? I get pulled back all the time because, that doesn't ever change. And if I can, share a word or just be able to reach out and give somebody a hug and they can, be able to get through their day maybe a little bit lighter because of it, it's worth, the time. So Survivor Day is probably my most favorite event and, where I've gotten the most support myself.
With the walk, you don't have to have a direct connection
Correct.
to this. You can go out and you can support, you can be there for people that do, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we have folks, who come from all areas of life, and all, levels of passion, for this cause and why they want to be involved in it. And I think one of the things that I love the most about the walk is our bead ceremony during the opening ceremony before we actually release everyone out to, and, say, go ahead, go do your walk and enjoy the beautiful November Arizona weather. But we have beads that represent what your connection is, to suicide. And I didn't study ESPO, I'm sorry, so I can't tell you what all of the beads mean.
So we'll find out on Saturday.
We'll find out on
right?
Saturday. Come on out. We've got a bead table. There are signs there that, certainly help with my cheat sheet. But, like I wear orange beads to represent the loss of a sibling. We have beads to represent the loss of a spouse, the loss of a parent, or if you're just connected and you want to help and you're an ally and you're a friend, or if you want to show support for the LGBTQ community or first responders, because we know that first responders have a higher incidence rate of suicide among that population. So it's really cool, and we will have folks at the walk who will represent those beads as part of our opening ceremony, and you'll hear part of their stories, which is really awesome.
Oh, so they actually will share kind of what brought them to the walk and what's important to them.
Yeah. So it's someone will read what they prepared, but they'll stand down on the field at Salt River Fields and hold up the sign of the bead that they're representing and why.
It's got to be quite an emotional thing to witness.
It really is. It really is. I did it 2 years ago representing the orange beads, and I wasn't, I've been involved with the walk. I've been, co-chairing for a couple of years. I'd been on the committee for a few years beyond that. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I can do this. I was welling up while I was standing down there as they were reading what I wrote about my brother. And it's like, it's one of those things where we know grief it never goes away. They say grief is the price of love. And I firmly believe that. But it was, having others hear his story and, what the things that were important, to us to share about him. And it's keeping his spirit alive, which is really important.
When you talk about the stigma, I think that's part of it too, is we feel odd to express that emotion in a public space and have that. We think, oh, we should just be over that feeling, but you never really get past that. And I think there's something very beautiful about being able to share that in a group of people and feel it together, if you will.
I 100% agree. I think it is the greatest show of strength when you can say, I'm struggling and I need help. And we hear about different stories in the sports world, right? We just heard about, the Dallas football player who took his life last week. Those moments when you hear about those stories and everyone comes out and you start talking about it, we need to continue the conversations, because I think we're really good about, the immediate aftermath and, talking about the help. But there are so many, stories of folks. And I think about Connor Ingram, when he was with the Coyotes and then with the Utah Mammoth, and he stepped away, went into the player assistance program last year because he was struggling with his mental health. And he won the Bill Masterton, trophy, the year before for, being open about and, what his struggles were. That is so important, because that's such an important role model for someone who is struggling to say, if this guy that I watch protect the net and, do an amazing job and have shutouts and, do all of these things, that NHL caliber goalies do, and then he can admit that he is, struggling, that is so much more impressive than anything he can do on the ice, or that anything that a football player or a basketball player do on their field of play, because you're showing I'm human and it's okay to ask for help. And, setting that example is such an important message, especially for the youth in our communities.
Yeah, I think I think people just assume if you're rich, if you're successful in a job, if you have the home or a wife, a kid, whatever the case may be, that just doesn't affect you. There's just a certain way that this comes about, and it's just not the case, right?
Absolutely.
It touches anybody. It can happen with anybody, and it's a struggle that we need to recognize and accept is okay. Yep. That people go through that, and it's okay to ask for help and show that emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I work with students with disabilities in higher education. I've done that, for a million years at this point. And one of the things that, is really important to me is when they start to talk to me about, especially my students who have mental health diagnoses, and they tell me what they've struggled with. I thank them all the time for sharing that with me and for trusting me enough to share that, because I know it's not easy. No, and I know how many times my brother struggled, and I was a sister and, and family, and you rely on family. And if it was hard for him to even tell me as a sister, like, how hard is it then, to seek out the help that you need and from a professional, and to say to your bosses or to your colleagues at work, hey, I need to take some time off. And because we have an attitude in this country of, well, suck it up. Like, what are you doing? But it's so critically important, because mental health diagnoses can be just as terminal of an illness as cancer. And we wouldn't think twice when somebody's struggling with cancer when they take the time off that they need to heal. We need to, kind of flip that script and, apply the same compassion for folks who are struggling with mental health.
Well, as somebody who's had depression throughout his life, is a diagnosed bipolar, person. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and that the entire organization is trying to remove that stigma and show support for everybody that's gone through it. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention does a lot of great work, and one of the great things that they're doing is the Out of Darkness Walk this weekend out at Salt River Fields. The walk is at 9 a.m. The check-in is at 8 a.m. How can you sign up beforehand?
You can go directly to our website, and I'm assuming that all of our magic elves here are going to make sure that that's available to the PH.
Shane, our magic elf.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Make that available to your viewers. Just go right to the website. There is no cost to join the walk. Fundraising is optional. There's no requirement to do that. We do need you to register, but come on out, get checked in. We'll have community resource tables, and we have an amazing raffle. And I know PHNX donated a raffle prize for us this year, so thank you so much for that support as well. We're super excited about that. And come out and have a good morning with us. Enjoy the beautiful Arizona November weather, and take a walk around the grounds at Salt River Fields and get connected and meet some really awesome people.
Kelly, it was a pleasure to have you here
you.
today. I will be out there Saturday. I know a lot of our staff members will. I hope you will as well. It's the Out of the Darkness Walk this Saturday at Salt River Fields. Thanks again, Kelly.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, not our typical interview, but I really appreciate you sticking around for that. It is something that's extremely personal to me. And if you are struggling with anything and you need help, reach out to somebody that cares about you, or reach out to an organization like the one that puts on the Out of Darkness Walk and get some help as well. So please do that. We would love to see you out there at the walk on Saturday. Big thank you to the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. You can follow him at Shane Dief. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, maybe the Cardinals will get better. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.